Ciao, everyone. Buona domenica. Hope you guys are having a great day, no matter what day you're watching. I'm Esther.
I'm Alfred.
Of You, Me, and Sicily, and welcome to our channel. If you're new around here, we come to you every weekend to talk to you about what's happening in Sicily and Italy, and also we have other videos all on our channel. But today we want to talk to you about not only what's happening in Sicily and Italy, but also about olive oil. Mr. Expert Olive Oil, we'll talk about it. The peppercino plant I picked up in the market. What else are we going? Oh, pasta alla forno, the baked rice. What else are we going to talk about?
My secret Sicilian recipe that she keeps on forgetting about, but I'm going to get it in today.
All right. On that note, why don't we start with the pasta alla norma? Pasta alla norma, pasta al forno. So this weekend I used Alfred's mom's or dad's. Which side of the family is the pasta sauce from? Mom's family. So I made the pasta sauce with the garlic, with the olive oil. I use basil and oregano. Do you guys use basil or oregano? I'm curious. Leave me a comment. And so I made the sauce, and then we did the pasta, but I put peas in the sauce. And you said that you also like it with the meat, right?
Yep.
And then we made the pasta. We had two types of pasta. What kind were they?
Well, we had the rigatoni. It was rigatoni, most of it. It was good.
Most of it rigatoni. Put some mozzarella, put it in a dish, put some mozzarella, a layer of sauce, a layer of pasta, a layer of mozzarella. Then I repeated that, put some Parmesan cheese. You guys, do you guys ever have that? Leave me a comment. Let me know if that's a recipe you do. Now, Alfred, this is so interesting. I've known Alfred for 8 years, and I just learned that your grandfather was one of the pasta makers at Prince Spaghetti.
Yep. You remember Prince Spaghetti? Wednesday's Prince Spaghetti Day. My grandfather, Alfio Zappala, God rest his soul, he worked at the one in Lowell. This is right after he retired from his other job at the sweatshop Mills in Lawrence. And then he worked there for about 10 years, and then finally he ended his career, so to speak, as a night watchman at Greco Brothers, Lawrence, Massachusetts. That's what he did.
So, Al, people often ask, what are the best pastas to hold sauce? What do you say to that?
Anything with a line in it holds the sauce good. Okay, so ziti's good. Penny with lines are good. Anything that has the lines in them are the best things to fusilli. If you have good fusilli, because it's a corkscrew, that's a good one too.
All right. The other thing we're going to talk about is this. Look at this. What do you guys think this is? No, it's not wine. It's olive oil. We picked it up at one of our favorite stops in Via Grande. We actually did an entire episode shopping during Palm Sunday, and we picked up this olive oil. Now, Alfred, why is this olive oil good?
We're talking about oil now?
Yeah.
All right, give me my little.
Well, talk about why this olive oil is good. What makes this a good olive oil?
Just a little bit.
This is a shot glass, by the way.
Can you see the color? The amber green color. This comes from my friend Alfio, who gets it in Via Grande from a terrific producer. It's what they call a monovarietal oil. That means only one type of olive is made. The amber green is the color. If it's light yellow, you're getting either an old oil, but you're not getting a first press extra virgin olive oil for sure. What makes this so good? It's got a very heavy boot.
Can I smell?
Yeah, sure. It's got a heavy smell to it, and it also has a peppery finish to it. It's great. My brother Tommy drinks like a tablespoon of this every day. I love to. I don't like to sip it, but I use it.
You know what I do when I make his pizza? I use the olive oil and sign my name on it. Alfred likes a lot of olive oil and everything.
So what you could do with that oil too is if that's kind of expensive. I think it costs us €16 for 2 liters. That's about €8 a liter.
Color.
Which in Sicily it's typically €6 or €7 a liter, but this is a couple euro more. But it's worth every penny of it. So what we do is sometimes we get a bottle from the market, and usually we'll get Barbera oil from Palermo, and we'll kind of marry them together if we're going to just put them, just for everyday use. One thing about oil, though, you cannot do, okay? You should not fry with it. because it has a very low smoke point. Okay, don't fry with the oil. You're gonna ruin the oil. Now, what's the difference between first press extra virgin oil and regular olive oil? I saw recently on a Facebook page someone was using 100% olive oil. Okay, that oil is not first press. So that means is the best olives are picked by hand the first 2 days or 3 days, and they are immediately ground up. Okay, pits and all. Then the residual are harvested several days later, even those that fall to the ground. Now, when they fall to the ground, what happens is they hit the ground and they get those little bruises attract moisture, which means that they have a high grade of acidity. An extra good oil, like this oil that we have over here, has an acidity below 0.5%. That's what you want. The pure oils, those things that you see in the markets, typically they're over 1%. And also, watch out for the color, okay? If the color's like a light green or a yellow, even better, a yellow, watch out for that. Also, read the label. I think it's important to read the label. Make sure that if you're going to get an imported Italian olive oil, that it says olives are from Italy, okay?
So made in Italy is not good.
No, because what happens sometimes is they'll import olives from Greece, Spain, Tunisia, and they'll actually grind them up here and put them in a bottle. And it'll say bottled in Italy. So that's kind of like fake, I mean.
So you have to make sure that it says olives from Italy.
Correct.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Let me just say this to you, okay? There's nothing wrong with Spanish olives or Greek olives or Tunisian olives. All right, they're outstanding. As a matter of fact, Spain this year is going to have about 70% of all the olive crop. In Italy, about 70% of them are Spanish. Okay, so they're like 500-pound oil.
Yeah.
No, they're very good. And the Greek oils are good too.
Now, we did an entire episode on the Asado olive oil, which is from Castelvetrano and Patton, and they use 100% Sicilian olive oil. In fact, when we were
Sicilian
there,
olives, you mean?
it's Sicilian olive. Their olive oil is 100% Sicilian.
Sure.
And when we did the story, it was interesting. All the local farmers lined up and brought, from smaller farms, brought their crop to make the olive oil. So beside Asado and also Paisano, which is his other product, what other olive oil would you suggest?
Manfredi Barbera has, from Palermo, has a good monovarietal oil, okay? But read his label too, because sometimes he'll put private label for some people, and he'll mix in olives and call them Mediterranean blend, which means that it could be from Spain or Greece or something like that. Read Manfredi's oils, but generally speaking, he has spectacular oils. Any oil from Buccheri is good.
I was just going to say, you often talk about Buccheri. What makes the Buccheri olive oil so good?
Because it has a sweet, that's in the province of Siracusa. It has a very sweet, fruity finish, okay? Now, here's the problem with Buccheri olives, okay? None. But the problem is that a lot of people are bootlegging the oil now. So in other words, they'll go over there and they'll take, 100 cases of olives, and then they'll blend them with 500 cases of olives from another region or zone, and they'll say that it's from Buccheri. So you have to be very careful. Some of the smaller producers, though, they make very limited supplies over there. When you come to Sicily, that's one of the trips you ought to take. You ought to go to Buccheri and see that beautiful little town. It's just a spectacular town and stuff.
And the interesting thing about the olive trees too, they look different on this side of the island than the west, right? Over in the west side, they tend to grow outward, whereas here they tend to grow up, right? So
I'm not that sure of that. Are you sure of that? Yeah. Where did you read that from? I'm giving it
Tommaso told me that. Tommaso Asado told me that.
We have a tree. We have a tree
else?
Right in front of us at 700
Should we show them?
years old.
Let's show them the tree.
We have some wonderful trees. You have to lift it up though.
Can you guys see the olive tree down there? Usually
all in the area over
all
there to the
on
left
the area
of the
over
tree,
there. So we got a nice farm.
Yeah.
Tommaso told me that something. Well, you got that.
Yeah.
Tommaso told me that they just grow differently on this side of the island than the other. That's why he has that beautiful in his cover photo, a beautiful fat tree. You know what else I want to talk about, Alfred? In just a little bit is World War II in Sicily, because I've been geeking out about World War II.
Let me just make a note here, okay?
Thanks to
I just
Your
have to make a
bud.
note for myself. Okay.
Okay. Not now, in a little bit. Let's talk
Okay.
about World War II in a little bit. But thanks to our friend Mike Watt, who gave me the book on 43. So the invasion of Sicily during 1943 is fascinating. So should we say hello to people?
Wait a minute. Can I
Tell
say
me.
hello to people? No, you've been talking for out of the 7 minutes. She's been speaking for 6.5. I have my watch on. I haven't interrupted her one time.
You did a good
And
job.
I haven't told you about the most important thing.
Tell me.
We're in a red zone. Last night they declared Archicatana a red zone, which really stinks, okay? It's awful. So that means we're basically trapped in the house. I can't go out. I'm dying here. Help me! I'm trapped. No, it's really bad. It's a pain in the ass is what it is. But we're in a red zone right now.
Yeah. The rest of Sicily is an orange zone, but there's like 100 communities in the red zone. So, and the other latest news that has been happening is on April 26th, Italy is partially opening. Restaurants in yellow zone can start serving only outside. But the good news is until now, it was only till 6 p.m. Now they're saying dinner, but the curfew still remains 10 p.m. So baby steps. And the other big news, gyms have been closed for over 6-7 months. Gyms, open air theaters, cinemas, swimming pools, outdoor beaches. That's big news. A lot of people sign.
Well, the thing is, we have a lot of stuff going on around the house. Me going for my annual medical exams, just a whole bunch of crap that when we have to go to different communities now.
Which we can't leave our community.
Not to mention is that I had to hand in my resident card last week to get the new one, which will be, you have to hand in your old one and then you get the new one in like 2 weeks, the 26th. And they give you a skimpy piece of paper that says, okay, he's got one, but this is the temporary one. And it's due to expire on the 26th of the month. But the I can't say goddamn, but the stupid red zone isn't going to get over to the 28th. Okay, and I have to go from here to Padilla a couple times. I have to go to Arce Castello on business. I got about 10 things to do on a skimpy piece. I feel like I don't know what. I feel like
does this feel different than the last lockdown? I mean, we've been in red zone so many times, but why is this different? We can still go to supermarket. We can still do all these things.
I have COVID. I'm sick of COVID. Okay?
I think
up to my eyeballs. I'm sick of it.
I think everyone else is too.
Holy smokers! When we went to the town center this week in Archicatana, half the people didn't have masks on. Or maybe even more than half.
They
of people.
didn't?
No, in the Marketo.
Honey, that's not allowed.
They had them down like this. They have a
like
mask like this.
Whoa! No.
They have them down like this.
All right, Jim Ingram is here. Joe and Sue. Priscilla is here. Helen is here. Manny, ciao Manny. Good to see you. Hey, Lydia Denoto has been watching our old episodes, and I just sent her the very first one that we did in June in 2004.
Excuse me?
Your vaccine.
My vaccine is very important right now.
Jim made pasta alla norma last night. Oh, a little bit of a hot sausage in there. Sounds good.
That sounds very good, Jimmy.
Happy belated birthday, Mr. Ingram. Ciao, Julie. Let's see. Christine is looking forward to hearing your olive oil recommendations. Good. I'm excited to find bucciata pasta from Sicily at Home Goods. I love the way it holds the sauce. Wow.
I just named a couple of oils, Chrissy, but there's a heck of a lot of good olive oils here. The more that we go around every region, there are outstanding producers. The problem is that most of them don't import into the United States, which, by the way, is not that easy. It's a pain in the neck, especially since the euro now is like 20 or 21% higher than the dollar. Okay, it's crazy how high the euro is right now. Plus, you throw in the freight cost, and all of a sudden, you can't sell a bottle of oil, of any decent oil, from Sicily for under $20-25 in the States. It's just crazy how they do it. By the way, if you see oil on sale, say like a 3-liter can of oil for like $15. at one of the big box stores, that's junk oil, okay? It's old oil, okay? It's not good oil because an olive is a commodity. And you buy it by the bushel, and it's based on weight, and it has a certain price that olives cost, period, end of sentence. Be very careful when you buy your oil.
What would you say is a good amount of time to keep olive oil? How long will it last? What's the shelf life?
It depends on how you store it. If you keep it in your cupboard, it's fine. It'll last you at least a year. And let me say something. The only time olive oil is bad is when it turns rancid. Okay, and it'll turn rancid if you put it in direct sunlight or heat. What happens to oil after, say, 16 months, 18 months, is that the flavor begins to dissipate. You could still use it, but it's not as flavorful. What you want to do is you want to get good oil. And you ought to really make it a point to use your oils just about for everything. I substituted plenty of times, almost all the time, oil for butter. Just for example, for butter, a small little switch like that is a little bit helpful.
Super healthy for you too.
Yeah, it's got good, whatever you call it, LDHs, HDHs, CBSs, whatever the heck the letters are.
Happy birthday to Peter Scipoletti's daughter, Gina.
Gina, happy birthday. You have a wonderful parents. Wonderful parents.
Hey, let's say congratulations to Tony Campanella.
Anthony,
4 years
happy
in
anniversary,
Sicily.
Anthony. Nicest guy there is, without a doubt. I always say
Buongiorno. That. Thank you for sharing Sicily with us. Hey, Anne and Mike are here, taking a break from packing. I don't even want to talk about that. Good morning, Andrew Parisi. Anna Marie is here. Got London in the house. Bien Dawn. Ciao. Okay, so Alfred, you wanted to talk about.
I want to talk about a couple of things, if I could. Okay?
Wait a second.
But what I'm going to do is I'm going to be polite today, and I'm going to ask you for permission to speak. So if I go like this with my ear, watch.
Okay. Before you do that, can I say something about the mask?
What mask?
The mask that they wear here, because just to make sure, I mean, people get fined 400, 1,000 euro. I saw maybe 2 people not wearing masks at the market, and they were behind there. I mean, they are serious, and a lot of fines too for young kids having parties. So they take this stuff very seriously.
I'm telling you right now, I understand why you have to give the vaccination to the elderly people. I really do. Okay, but it's the young people who are spreading it, because they're bringing the COVID out and they're bringing it into the house for Nana and Nanu, who are dying. I mean, that's basically what happened last March, April, May, June, July.
Yeah.
So now the headlines in yesterday's paper was boom in vaccinations, the word boom. So what does boom mean to you? It means a crap load full of people got vaccinated, right? 3,000 people got vaccinated. What is it, 3,000 or 4,000 in Catania? I'm like, oh, that's ridiculous.
Can you answer this question? My mother used to say you should never cook with oregano, and I added at the end of cooking, if you cook with it, it will give you heartburn. What do you say to that?
Well, listen, here's what I know about oregano is so overwhelming in complexity.
Yeah.
Okay, that it could really take away the other flavors when you're cooking it. Okay. On the other side of the story, I see no objection, Anthony, to putting it on a pizza, for example. I don't put my
oregano or before.
No, I think because it's only cooking in the oven for no more than 7 or 8 or 10 minutes.
12
minutes, okay?
Yeah.
It doesn't affect that. In your sauce, I could see it, but if you control how much you use, it's okay. I remember one time we had a cooking demonstration for All Things to See, and we brought in this quote unquote famous chef who was going to show us how to make Sicilian sauce. Okay, this is at our Peabody, Massachusetts store. So I drove all the way up there to see this famous chef, and you know what that moron put in his sauce?
What?
Rosemary.
Whoa, that doesn't even sound good.
I said to the guy, I says, rosemary? He says, oh yeah. He says, that's the new wave. I said, get out of here, new wave. So people put in a lot of different things.
Red wine sometimes. Do you guys put red wine? Remember, sometimes we do.
I think the best thing for sauce, though, is the
garlic.
Nope, is the tomato paste. I think you have to have a good tomato. Estrato di pomodoro, it's called. I think it's really important to use that in, because no matter what kind of tomatoes you use, whether they're diced, sliced, or however you're going to use them, that compacted tomato paste really gives it a nice shot. In my
And
opinion.
I think also the sugar, which cuts the acidity. I think those are some important
Yeah,
ingredients.
I like to use. I don't use a whole teaspoon of sugar, by the way. I just use a little bit of sugar. And every once in a while, wine is nice too.
Yeah, that's what I said. Red wine. I want to say a shout out to Chiara. Chiara, thank you very much for your recent donation to our youth.
Hey,
and
speaking
Sicily,
about donations.
Wait a second. Let me just do 2 or 3 more. Gary Arvilla is here.
Gary Aravello, lifelong friend.
Bravo. Janet
We did some
Lombardi
serious
from
time
England.
together, Gary and I. Love that kid.
Okay, Nancy Morado is here. Wait a sec. Good. Barbara Ippolito is here. Ciao, Barbara.
A lot of friends here today.
A lot of friends. Hey, before you go on, I just want to say something to everyone watching. We know and appreciate that you spend this hour with us. I know that time is very valuable, but you take time out of your lives to come spend it here with us, either on a Sunday or whatever day that you're watching. And I love this growing community. So I am very appreciative for your time and really grateful for this opportunity. I just want to say this because it really, as this group grows every single week, right? Every Saturday or Sunday or whenever we go live, we have new friends. And it's really fun to have this. And so if you guys want to share it with friends, make sure you share this video. And also if you're new around here, make sure you subscribe to this channel so you get notified every time that we upload a video. But I've really been thinking about how many people have given up some of their time to spend here with us. So I'm grateful.
I think we're the only people that are broadcasting once a week from our home in Sicily, okay? And we're like connecting. You and I are connecting right now. It's almost like you're watching your local radio station talking about, I don't know what you were talking about, like my brother Tommy talking about his bald head, for example. Did you watch his program? I was watching his program. It's the same program with my brother last week, Friday. Peter, you were watching it, I'm sure. So all of a sudden, I'm watching his program, and there's a blinding, there's a blinding light. It hit me in my face. I was like, oh my God, what's going on, right? So I went back and I rewound it. I want to say, what the heck is going on, right? My brother Tommy had taken off his hat, and he's bald like a cue ball. He looked like, I don't know, Finner's pool room, right? And the light bounced off his head, hit me right in the eyes. So I called him up. Tom. I says, Tommy, he says, what the hell happened to your hair? I haven't seen you in a year and a half. He goes, oh, no, I have hair in the back.
Stop it.
I love that kid.
Listen, Barbara Ippolito, about Partana olive oil. We love Partana,
it's very
the
good.
Asado, and also
it's
the
very, very
Paisano,
good oil.
which is at Whole Foods, right? Paisano has it.
A lot of people have it.
Tim, thank you for the super chat.
What's a super chat about? Explain to me.
If people want to support this channel, they can do a super chat. It
just helps what do they do?
And also, yeah, there's a thing under the chat. It says super chat. And if there's an important or question that you guys want to answer, go right up to the top. My entire morning is worked around the chats. We love you, Pat.
Here we go. May I say something?
Yes.
Okay. My pal Gary Aravello. Okay, he's on this thing today. This guy and I have known each other since we were maybe 10 or 12 years old. That's a long time, right? We did time together at Sacred Heart School, and we did time together at Austin Prep. And what I want to do is give a shout out to a lot of my friends on Facebook.
Yeah.
I've reconnected with. It's unbelievable. Gary Aravella, Johnny Sato, Greg Cleary. These guys, we went to grammar school together. Can you imagine that?
It's so fun, isn't it?
The Ganji boys, Joey Ganji, CJ Ganji, the whole Ganji family.
I had Ganji for a teacher in Andover.
Well, I don't know. I don't think they went there. Austin Preparatory School for Boys in Andover, Reading, Massachusetts, excuse me. We went there way back when, okay? Actually, Gary and I graduated. We were really the second graduating class, okay, in 68. We graduated in 68. And it had an outstanding percentage of kids going to college in those days, 95, 97%. And to this day, it's had an unbroken amount of years of academic excellence. Mm-hmm. And believe me, in those days, Esther, we didn't have too much of a choice on the subjects we had to take.
Yeah.
4 years of French, 4
You
years of
didn't have
Latin,
you didn't have a
4
chance.
years of mathematics.
You couldn't choose
four-
what language. You couldn't choose what
You had your
language.
choice between you had French and that was it. It wasn't until later on that they added other stuff, but in those days it was a set menu of stuff. 4 years of religion, 4 years of
What
history.
about Latin?
Latin, I had 4 years. I had 4
Yeah.
years of Latin, 4 years of science. That was it. We had what they call the classical education, which today,
Wow.
you don't have classical education in a lot of these places. Some of the places you do, but not the rigors that we had at Austin Preparatory School for Boys. And
Good
let
memories?
me tell you, yes, I have very good memories of that school. My brother Tommy graduated also from there. Guys like Chucky McCoy, Chuck Takesian, they're also my freight. My brother Tommy's group was essentially a bunch of criminals. My brother
Stop it.
he was a
Good
president.
guy.
My brother Tommy was the president of the Austin Prep senior class, and they planned the senior prom. Okay, you know what happened? Those guys, the check to the prom that the student council wrote that my brother was in charge of, it bounced and they stuck.
No.
They stuck Austin Prep with the bill. I mean, when my brother came home, right, he had like 12 pewter mugs. They were like $20 each, right? I says, where did you get this? Guys, me and Tony and a few other guys, we got a few extras, right?
Listen,
I love that kid.
Lydia wants to know, I watch a lot of Italian recipes that they say they sauce a whole garlic clove smashed.
They saute, Esther.
A whole garlic clove smashed and then throw it out. What does that
Yeah,
do?
no, they do. I'll tell you the truth, okay? And this is between me and you and the goalpost here. Sicilians do not use garlic nearly as heavily as the American Sicilians do. Okay.
True.
What they'll do is sometimes they'll put a whole clove in, and they'll let the oil simmer, and then they'll take it out. I've seen that happen. 28,487 times. As a matter of fact, when I put my sauce thing up years ago, how to make a Sicilian sugo or sauce that's on there, I used 4 garlics and I crushed them up and I put them in there because I was making a good sized sauce. And my only criticism from a few of my Sicilian friends is, Alfred, why did you put so much garlic in? So you're right, they don't. Americans they garlic everything. I mean, she's the same way though. Esther will brush her teeth with garlic. She loves garlic, okay?
I do. I love
So
garlic.
it's good for you. It's obviously very, very healthy for you.
Jim says, big difference between dried oregano and fresh sauces that are simple and refreshing are so Sicilian. Arrabbiata, which means it's spicy.
Yep.
Sauce can take on a whole new taste by adding a bit of caviar and panna di cucina. Hey, Alfred, Pat Clemens says, thank you very much. Very informative. Can we talk about my new fun subject that I've been geeking out over?
Not yet. I want to talk about my
second.
authentic. We're talking about food.
Okay,
so
let's talk about food.
Okay. My authentic, you'll never see this recipe anyplace again before or after today. You may want to get a piece of paper or a pencil or a crayon in Jimmy Ingram's place, or maybe I don't know what. But this is what they call the original peasant's dish. Everybody says, well, the original peasant's dish was with modiga and breadcrumbs, okay? Something more fundamental. And how do I know about this? Well, because my mother used to cook it all the time. And for the kids, okay, when we were kids. It was called pane cotto, which means cooked bread, okay? And what she would do is she would get the stale bread, okay, that, after you eat some bread, she'd throw it in a thing, and after a few days, all the bread is hard bread, okay, especially Italian bread, it gets hard. And then she would cut it up, when she wanted to make pane cotto, she'd cut it up with her knife into cubes, okay, maybe a couple inches big. And meanwhile, she would have the water going, and she would put the bread into the water, and she'd let it cook for about 15 or 20 minutes, okay? Not at an angry boil, but as a nice simmer boil, okay? Add salt and pepper. And then she would serve it to me, my brother, and my sister, scoop it out, and then she'd put a little bit of olive oil on it. And this was the remedy for when we had upset stomachs, we were sick at home, or we were just hungry, or if we had a toothache or something like that, pane cotto. And if you had, say, for example, you had the flu or something like that, as you were getting better, you could have pane gotu, except you'd put in a bay leaf. For some reason, a
Now,
bay
I'm
leaf.
seriously curious if you guys have heard of this recipe or
Pane gotu,
used.
C-O-T-T-O.
That's an interesting one.
Yep.
Sean Lewis, my nonna, used a lot of garlic, and now we are addicted to that taste in our sugu. Oh yeah, I put a lot of garlic in the sugu.
How many garlic cloves do you use?
Well, it depends if I make like the whole bottle passato or half, maybe 2 or 3 garlics.
For a whole bottle?
But you know the other thing that I really like, and I know you hate this, but I like making some vegetables, boiling them, or boiling them, steaming them even, and then crushing the garlic, putting on fresh, and then drizzle on the olive oil. That gives it a nice touch. There's nothing better than a fresh garlic.
You know, I want to say, here's my sentence, okay, and we'll move on to another sentence. Garlic is nice, but I'm putting an asterisk next near, okay? That doesn't mean garlic is awesome. I'm going to have it with every single thing there is. Garlic is nice if used properly when it overtakes a good dish, okay? It's not proper. Just in my view. Okay, so there's got to be a balance on how you want to. If your family likes having on the garlic, use it. If other people don't, because other people actually get indigestion with it. Believe it or not, they get indigestion. Yeah.
Okay, can we talk about World War II? So I've been. So I studied history.
Well, you mean
World War II in Sicily.
Oh, okay.
So I studied history for my master's at Northeastern University, and with a concentration on World War II. But I have never heard about the invasion of Sicily, which was fundamentally one of the most important periods leading up to D-Day, right?
How did you get a master's degree on World War II if you didn't hear about Operation Husky?
Of course, I heard about.
I'm going to write to that dean. I'm going to get your money back.
But here's why: because when I studied it, it said Italy, didn't specifically, and plus I wasn't very into specific war things. It was more of a life during World War II. It wasn't like studying wars. I didn't study wars. I didn't study battles. So that was an important turning point in the battle. But I was watching Walter Cronkite, a documentary, and how incredible this was. And one of the things that he said was that the Sicilians were the last to embrace fascism and the first to give it up. And it was some of the footage of the Sicilians welcoming the Americans, right, under Patton was incredible. They landed where? Licata, Gela, then they went west, went to Castelvetrano, went to Memphis, and there's people cheering for the Americans. And then over on the East Coast, East Coast, Patton, the British were coming up. So
no, Montgomery and
Montgomery and the British were coming up. But now I'm also reading this book, thanks to Mike, and they really, those men and women, they went all the way to Palermo. Then they doubled back and headed back east to places like Troina, and now they're in our neck of the woods, Randazzo, Lingua Glossa, and stuff like that. So I love that. I love reading about this. I love this period. Stop it.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
All right. The British had it a lot tougher than the Americans. Boom. Okay, because Montgomery had to bring his invasion essentially from north to south, hugging the East Coast, going all the way up, and that's where the Germans were entrenched.
Yeah.
Patton used what they call an enveloping type of a move. He took a left, he went to Palermo, and then he beelined it at the top to Palermo because the roads were better, etc., and also the resistance was lighter. That's not to say that they didn't have resistance. But the most significant thing and the most underrated thing about the Operation Husky was, up until that time, that was the largest land invasion in the history of warfare that nobody ever knows about, because what happened in 44, obviously, was the invasion in Normandy. But the question remains, was it a necessary invasion? Because after they left Sicily, the American troops, tens of thousands of American troops, died needlessly invading the peninsula, fighting their way up, okay? Because by that time, the Germans were really under pressure from the Russian army coming from the north. Mussolini had been already lynched. Hitler was on his dying throes, so to speak. And all those brave American young kids died with really no No rhyme or reason to it. So this was an invasion put on by the pressure of Winston Churchill. This is one of Churchill's.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a great guy, and he's one of my top guys of all time.
Yeah, you like to quote
But
him
he
a
made
lot.
some catastrophic, Gallipoli during the Second World War, for example.
Mhm.
What the Turks and what the Greeks and the Turks or whoever the heck did it to the English army. They slaughtered English. Okay, he lost a lot of kids in the First World War, and he lost a lot of kids, and especially British troops here. Now, over here in Villa Grande, where we hang out all the time, Orna, Cafe Orna was a Nazi. Can you just type my son Matthew? Put down moron. Okay, he's not supposed to call us.
Was a hospital.
Was a hospital, and then after the British came up and they fled, it became an English hospital. They actually took over that place from the Jafrida family.
So Bernie Seppi has a great World War II museum in
Yes,
Catania.
there
I've
is.
been wanting to go there.
Mhm.
You know, the other thing is on July 9th and 10th, when they were flying over here around Syracuse, the winds were so heavy that they knocked a lot of the planes to seaside. Some of them crashed on Mount Etna. And there's actually a British museum as you leave Ortigia, right? There's a beautiful British museum, a British cemetery as you leave Ortigia that is run by the Brits still, right? And
there's two of them. There's also one by Catania by the airport. There are two.
Yeah.
Okay. But the British fatalities far outweighed and casualties far outweighed the Americans on
the other thing.
Wait a minute. You said one other thing. Okay. You said allegedly there was 400,000 defenders, Italians and German defenders at the beginning of this invasion. However, most of the Sicilians and most of the Italians, they surrendered. All right. The fascist component of those armies stayed, and they ended up going and retreating with the Germans up. But you have to understand that, and I hate to say this, the American mafia had a lot to do with opening up those ports and doing a lot of, that was Lucky Luciano was his name, doing a lot of, they let him out of jail. He was in jail, and they let him out, and he coordinated the guerrilla tactics that ended up helping the Americans quite a bit.
Right.
And then after the war, they let him leave, and he ended up living the rest of his life in Naples, where he died in the 50s. Lucky Luciano, famous.
Elena
mafioso.
says the Germans feared the Sicilians were tough. I got to tell you, it was very interesting to watch some of the old footage with the Italians just surrendering. And, Patton was expecting a fight, but they're very, very little. The other interesting thing watching these is, they also, as they went to the left, so west, they stopped in places like Enna, which is at the belly of Sicily, and they wanted to secure places that throughout history, right, people who came here, who conquered Sicily, wanted to secure. So Dorina, all those mountain towns. So that was interesting as well. Stop doing that. Will you stop it? Oh my God, here we go. He can't help himself. He can't help himself. The other interesting thing I wanted to say, Alfred, that I didn't know, is that the Americans stayed in Sicily and helped Sicilians get back to life, right? They handed out food. They helped restart the banking, help commerce. It was really interesting. Stop it.
I want to go back and she asked the question, Elaine did, and I want to talk about
Elena said the Germans feared the Sicilians. The Sicilians were tough.
Let me give you my read on that, okay? First of all, yes, the Sicilians were mighty, okay, in terms of fighting. As a matter of fact, there was actually a couple of units during the First World War. I don't know if you know this. They didn't have guns. They attacked with only knives, okay? Imagine how terrified the enemy would be when they saw these guys coming into knife, only with a knife, okay, and killed them. About 25% of them ended up dying. But what was the problem over here? Well, the problem was this, and this is why Italy lost the war, for a lot of reasons, but the most important reason is that the leadership, the military leadership of Italy, they were relics left over from the First World War. They hadn't a clue about air tactics. They hadn't a clue about tank warfare. So what happened was the kids, the Sicilian kids, 18, 19-year-old kids, they were like lambs at the slaughter because they were all sent to West Africa. They were all sent to, to Africa, and they got clobbered by the Air Force. We didn't have any Air Force. The Italians didn't have any Air Force. And even Ethiopia defeated, the Ethiopians defeated them, even though the soldiers fought heroically, they didn't have enough supplies and so forth. My friend Rosario Zappa used to tell me about his father, who said, Alfred, my father had a shotgun for the turkeys and for the birds. This is what they gave us. Shotguns for animals, okay? Against what? Against Nazis? So you're right, but they're tough.
Chiara says my grandpas both in Sicily fought for the Italian army. From what I gathered, they did not want to be in the fight. They were so happy when the Americans
Yes,
came.
that's correct.
Chiara, I saw a lot of that.
You're
Camille
exactly
says
right.
Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip were based on island of Malta right next to Sicily when they were first married before she became queen. He was in British. In fact, last week, I said to you guys that during that period that Montgomery was here, the Duke of Edinburgh was here on a ship called Wallace, and he's credited for saving them from enemy attacks.
This is one of the things.
He was I think in the Syracuse area is where.
This is one of the things that after the chat, after the show, you can Google Italian casualties on Wikipedia, World War II. Italian American casualties, and you can learn Operation Husky. You ought to do some research to further understand, because in a couple of minutes you really can't explain a battle that took place over a long time. But that's one of the things. And there was another point, by the way, that
Hazel has to run, but great to see you on here.
Hi, Hazel.
The greatest, that's for sure. Are there any monuments that detail these battles in Sicily?
First
you
of all,
answer that one.
Okay. First of all, the Italians lost. The government lost the Second World War, so it was very, very few. Okay, very few. When we were in Anna one year, I remember they did a commemoration to the soldiers there. I think it was a full 42nd that was there, and they were all dressed up in American military uniforms. So to answer your question, for the Second World War, no. That said, for the First World War, they were, because Italy was on the winning side.
Every town has
a memorial. Yeah. They also have the names of the people, the soldiers who died, Chrissy. But no. Hey, by the way, Chrissy Leone. No.
My sister, ciao, Bernadette.
Hi, Bernadette.
Listen, Sean wants to know: is this covered in the book 1943? Yeah.
Very good book.
Yeah, that's the one I've been,
Sean,
that's the one that I've been reading, but I've also been watching some documentaries.
Our friend Mike Watt is almost I would call him a military historian. He's given me several books this last year because he's a retired Navy guy and he knows just a lot of stuff about a lot of stuff. He's one of the most intelligent people I know, and every book that he gives us, we read. But what I was going to say is, getting back to Chrissy Leone, we haven't talked about the olivetreememorial.com, right? We haven't. Okay.
Chrissy, if you're still here, leave us a comment to the link of the olive oil. We've got Montedoro, Ceppola Diana, and now one in Piazza Armerina. So we got 3 olive tree groves, and this is a great way to give someone a birthday gift, a memorial to a loved one. Great wedding gift, right?
I think we've sold the last couple months 50 trees.
Yeah.
Now, why do I push it? Because I love Chrissy, don't get me wrong, but I push it because a portion of that money she donates to the Sicilian Project. A very small portion, but nonetheless, every bean fills the bag, and we get money every time someone buys a tree. Chrissy, and she doesn't have to do this, but she does. She's diligent about it too, as a matter of fact. She donates money to the Sicilian Project, which is my baby, so to speak. So if you need to, and they're good not only for, memorial, they're good for a whole bunch of other things. You want to
connect to your homeland.
Yeah, there's a million things to do, and you're helping with the reforestation. Yeah, you're helping the farmer because he's getting a plant, he's getting a tree paid for by American largesse, And I think it's important that you do that. And the other thing I want to say to you about Chris Leone is that her and Esther, they're about halfway or 3/4 of the way done of our cookbook. We're going to be doing a You, Me, and Sicily cookbook, and we think it's going to probably be late spring or early summer by the time it comes out. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, we're getting there.
Yeah. And then finally, I have one more housekeeping thing.
Yeah.
You know, we have a GoFundMe here. And a lot of you, I'd say 75% of the people listening to me here have supported us one way or the
And
other.
thank you.
Thank you. I was looking at our last piece that we put up, Catania.
Yeah.
We have 51 different private individuals who helped us sponsor that work. 51 people. Work that has been seen by over 1 million people. Okay? So if you are a first timer or a second timer and you've seen some of our work that we've done and you think that our work is important to show Sicily, please go to the GoFundMe. Do you have it posted here?
Yeah, I have it posted. But the other way,
Every bean fills the bag.
the
We
other way
appreciate
you
it.
guys can help is by sharing our videos, which
Yes.
the purpose is to reach more people, to educate more people about Sicily. Joya Russo says, the lucky came from my nonna hometown, La Carde Freddi.
That's an interesting one. I've never heard of that, Joy. I've never heard of that town.
Someone
Birthday is April 22nd.
Okay. Thomas Scotone says, last time I was in Palermo, they're still building bombs in World War II that were never rebuilt.
Can I speak?
That's
Can
right.
I speak to that? With Tommy's thing? Okay, that's where the mafia got its start in Palermo. What happened was this, Tom. Palermo got completely annihilated by Allied bombs. It was like literally flat. Okay, so what happened was in the occupation that took place, an American-made man, a Sicilian American from Brooklyn, was put in charge of Palermo as a military, whatever you call it, okay? And he did a lot of business. They did a lot of business, so to speak. Did you know that of all the building contracts that went up to the reconstruction of Palermo, paid for primarily by American dollars, was given out to 4 individuals, or maybe 5. 2 of them were elderly women, okay? That's why you see, as you're going down the main thoroughfares there or passing through Palermo, as far as your eye can see, that cheap concrete construction, okay? The same thing in Messina. When you go to Messina and you're driving by, there are several nice areas of Messina, but there's a lot of cheap, it's concrete. That's all it is. It's concrete block. Boop, 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 boop. And of course, nowadays, it's really bad because the war was 73 years ago, Tom. But rest assured that the mafia made a ton of money. Because let's remember that during the fascist era, when Mussolini was one calling the shots, the mafia had to go underground for 19 years because he was annihilating. He sent this guy called the Iron General from Rome, Guy guy, to just eviscerate the mafia. They went underground. As soon as Mussolini was, gone, they're like mold. They came right back up and they started to do
like
business,
mold.
and they haven't stopped doing business.
Camille says, I was talking to a Tunisian who said he would understand Sicilian dialect, but not Italian. Right.
Could be. It's a mixture.
Well, it's of course. Because Sicilian is the first language to come out of Latin, believe it or not, and it has, of course, a lot of the Arab influence when the Moors were here. The Saracens and the Moors were here.
I was reading that. I think it was Amazon Prime. I can't remember exactly who it was. It's like Netflix, Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
They having a series going to start pretty soon, like one of those episode things, whatever you call them, on Dante. Now, I would love to see.
I saw that.
I would love to see the story of Dante, how someone can put that together. That would be awesome to see that.
Camille also says that they just opened a synagogue in Palermo to honor the fact that Sicily did not persecute the Jews under the Arabs, Saracens. And also the Normans were very inclusive. You have those beautiful churches, the cathedral in Cefalù, the one in Palermo, built by the Jews that were still here, the Arabs that were still here. And it wasn't until, the Spanish were here during the Great Inquisition that the Jews of Sicily were given a choice, either convert or get out of town.
Well, that was a story pretty much from 1492, and then afterwards,
Yeah.
and then the Spanish Inquisition took place afterwards, and it came down. Get out. Okay, if you're a Muslim, either convert or get out. And pretty much a lot of the Muslims, when you say Muslims, that's like a phony thing to say, because a Muslim is who?
Saracens and Moors.
If someone lived here
Saracens and Moors.
3 or 4 generations, okay, and had never left Sicily, yet his great-great-grandfather came here from Libya or Tunisia, he's still a Muslim because of religious reasons more than anything else. So it was really religious persecution more than it was anything else by the Spanish. The Spanish were awful. The Spanish did Sicily no favors whatsoever during the occupation here. They stripped the land of almost all its natural resources.
The Romans too.
Well, that was a millennia ago.
Yeah. Michelle is here. Michelle is in the house. Nice to see you. Christine wants to know, what is the next province? Next province I'm working on is Siracusa.
Yep.
Which should be out probably around Wednesday. Jim Ingram says lots of facades and bombed out buildings. Yeah.
Where, Jimmy?
But everywhere around. Let's see. Sean says, I don't have a lot of money, but totally believe a follower of your cause, so I share. Yes, you've been such a great
Sean, you're the man.
Yeah.
There's no one better than Sean Lewis from Tejas. He's from Tejas. I know that.
Sean also says you should write a book about the mafia from the Sicilian, how it started.
I did.
I think you already wrote about that, right?
You'll get to it. I have a few chapters in the books that I sent you, Sean.
Madagascar says, thank you for all your work.
Thank
from
you.
Nevada.
Our work is not done. Okay.
Our work is not done.
And I'm going to tell you why. Why is our work done? Because there are double the amount of Sicilian Americans in the United States. And this place over here desperately needs what they call that critical intellectual mass, because the kids are leaving and so forth because of the economic situation here. I like it when people like Joy Russo tells me she's going to be moved back, or Jody DeLuca says she's going to move back. We need go-getters here. We need investment money that's going to create jobs, that's going to keep kids here. By kids, I mean college grads, where there's a 50% to 60% unemployment rate in that age group. They leave, okay? So this is what the problem is.
Anyone know about the DeSimone name?
DeSimone, no, I don't know anything about it.
Michelle P., I thought you were one of our friends. You know who I thought that was? I thought that was our friend Michelle, who has the other YouTube. But Michelle is from Syracuse. I want to know where you guys are watching from. Hey, I think you need to write one more book. One more book.
Listen, I've written 4 books on Sicily.
Before you go on.
I have a 5th book almost written.
Yeah.
I'm very reluctant to...
Jim Ingram is also moving back.
Yeah, that's right. I'm very reluctant to publish it. Why? Because, 5 books, come on. I mean, I would just assume kind of do the transformation into video stuff.
You still have stories to tell.
Yes, I have.
Ciao from Georgia, Priscilla and Jay.
How do you pronounce it? Alpharetta, Georgia, something like that. Am I close?
Like yeah, Christine says so many more stories to tell.
Hey, wait a minute. Is Chris Leone still on here?
Chris is here, and
Chicha, do you have any?
The link to our olive tree memorial.
Chicha, I want to ask you a question, okay? Can you check your archives and see if you have any pictures from Buccheri? Because I told Esther that I would like to see if we can put in a couple shots, even if there's still shots on the piece that we're doing instead of Kusa. I can't seem to find my file on Buccheri, and I only have like about 28,000 pictures of
Joya tried to donate this morning. I couldn't on your link. I'll message you that later. And thank you.
Thanks, Joya. We appreciate
that. Okay, so the other thing, you want to show this again? My peppercino. I'm not tasting it. I'm not tasting this. I am not tasting this.
Put it down here.
Wait, I want to tell you, the people, peppercino, by the way, I discovered they can be, even the green ones are hot. And I'm not going to taste one. I already had one during lunch.
Guys, you like...
How much was that? €2? €3?
€3.99, $4. Let me tell you something, okay? Do you see those guys? They're red and... I'm not a pepper eater, hot stuff. She eats hot stuff. I hate hot stuff, right?
I
I
made
got
him.
curious because she said to
No,
me,
I made him. I said, Alfred, can you please taste this because I want to make sure these are the hot ones. He takes one little bite.
I took a bite about
gas.
quarter of an inch, a quarter of an inch off of one, right? And I said to myself, my first thing was, oh, it tastes pretty good. Oh God, they're not hot. This is what my thing was. And then the bomb went off in my throat, right? I had to drink like 2 glasses of water right away. And so that's a good thing. I come to find this, I'm a little snooping around about this. These things are kind of like indigenous to Sicily. This is something I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're indigenous.
How did I know that? Anthony Campanella. Yeah, I got to tell you about Anthony Campanella. He's got bamboo growing on his farm.
Yeah, there's bamboo also in Syracuse, in Ortigia.
Bamboo is no good.
In that little fountain, there's bamboos. There's a lot of it. And in fact, in Ortigia, they use the bamboo paper to make beautiful art, right?
No, they use parchment.
They use bamboo.
No, you use bamboo. They use parchment.
They use bamboo.
Bamboo here is an insidious weed that spreads, okay, because it's not indigenous to Sicily. And the last 10 years, it's been really a problem. So I told Anthony to watch it this week. Hey, do you see that beautiful rainbow? This is rainbow. Yeah, too bad we couldn't get that on the...
I don't know if we can see it.
Yeah.
Just off the subject, do you ever seen Inspector Montalbano TV series that is based in Sicily, extremely popular?
I haven't, no.
But we've been to
we don't own a TV.
Sicily and also the Gusa are places where they filmed, or some of them.
We don't own a television.
Tim, are you watching from England? Alfred, what are you drinking, by the way? We haven't talked to people drinking.
Okay. This is my vaccination. Today I have liquid vaccination because I'm not going for my AstraZeneca shot schedule. I'm going to try to wait until I get the Pfizer comes into Sicily, or until I go home and my daughter Jen can give me an appointment where I can fly home again. But I forget this AstraZeneca. I don't care. I know people say, yeah, it's safe, so this and that, blah, 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 blah. Tough. My view is that all these, this is just my opinion, huh? That all these vaccination thingies that they're giving out, I think they were brought to market a tad soon.
Yeah.
Okay. Because, someone says, they say, yeah, but only 8 people died.
All right.
Well, guess what? How about if it was your kid that died? Right?
Bernie Sapienza says, Esther was right. Syracuse has the unique bamboo
Jameson
used for paper, says Bernie.
They use bamboo? They use what's parchment made out of, Bernie?
Hey, Tony cut down.
You could be right. I could be wrong.
Bamboo.
Just cut down 30 more. There you go. I'm glad you did that. That's not the type, by the way, the pandas eat either.
My grandfather was a Sicilian bread baker from Zafferana Etnea. Yum, yum. We love Zafferana Etnea. And in fact, I included it in our last piece on Catania. And of course, the Zafferana Etnea Ottobrata was great. Mark Hagel is here.
Wait a minute, can I answer her? See, what you do is you go off the subject, and then someone writes in and says, I interrupt you because I don't have a chance to answer that.
Okay, honey.
Okay. Zafferana della Etna has the best honey in probably all of Europe. I agree. They have the best, not only do they have the best honey, but they have legendary sausage made from the black pig, so to speak, a boar of the Nebrodi Mountains. It's a jewel of a town. Jewel. Yeah. Jew. It's right at the last town before you get into the Etna Park.
In fact, there's some stores dedicated only to selling honey and honey products, honey candy, honey creams. Right. Honey, all types of honey stuff.
It's a great town.
And they have different types of honey, right?
And our dear friend, you see I said Rosario. Our dear friend.
Boy.
Rosario Ferracci, Professor Ferracci lives up there, and it's just a great
the honeys, they have the honey from orange, the honey
blossoms, yeah, chestnuts, from figurina,
what else?
Lemon.
There's the black bee honey. That is so unique.
Which one?
The black bee honey that is indigenous to Etna. The black bee honey. Very, very unique. Chow Dan, former sailor stationed at Sigonella, watching for Columbus. Thank you for your service. Okay, let's see here. Yes.
Papyrus. Yeah.
Parchment is originally from lambskin. That's a beautiful.
Parchment is originally from lambskin.
Rosanna, you are never late to the party. Always good to see you here. But listen, Rosanna, we covered a lot of topics. So when you're done here, make sure you scroll back and watch. We talked everything about olive oil. We had a pasta al forno recipe and lots of other. Oh, strawberry honey. That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
Can I say something?
No.
I'm done. We were talking about olive oil just a little bit while ago. And our friend Manfredi got into collaboration with Mr. Rico Bono from, what the hell is the name of that town way at the top, Esther, that we go to with the castle?
Say that again?
The castle?
Anna?
No, the castle, where the castle is. We take out people on excursion. What's the name of that town?
Castelbuono?
Castelbuono. And they're now making panettone with, as the mixing ingredient, extra virgin olive oil. And I tasted it.
Yeah.
And it's terrific. And the other thing that they do with the cheap oil, the cheap olives. Now, what do I mean by cheap olives? Well, if you're driving around town over here, you're going to see all these olive trees, right? So what they do is they harvest these crummy olives that really aren't meant for consumption, and they make olive oil soap, okay?
Creams,
scrubs, and the Romans would take 50% mixture of olive oil, crummy oil, and also sugar, and rub it on the face.
Good scrub.
What was that stuff that
Good scrub.
Do you remember when you were at
Castelvetrano?
Yeah,
Partana. He gave me from one of the processes of making olive oil. There was a green gooky type of liquid, and I can't remember which one, after the pressing. And apparently he said that people pay him, a lot of companies pay him a lot of money to get that stuff because they use it in facial cream. And he gave me like this much, and I put it on my hair, on my skin, and what a huge difference.
Yeah, I mean,
hey, Rosanna is here. Rosanna's cousin has the olive tree grove in Enna, in Piazza Armerina.
She is a doll. Rosanna Patri is a doll.
Okay. Joseph wants to know where are you guys located? Meanwhile, really enjoying very much. Thank you very much. We live in Acicatena, which is right near Acitrezza, about 20 minutes from the center of Catania. So Al, you get to have the last word because these hours just fly by.
It's an hour already.
Yeah. It's just one more thing, Madagascar. Do you recommend a link to do ancestry search? Yeah. So why don't you private message me, Esther Vida, on Facebook, or on Me and Sicily on Facebook, because there's a couple of people that we know. Yes, Al is drinking Jameson's. Marion is in the house.
I'm drinking Jameson today, and I decided that this is going to be my drink for the month until I get my vaccination, because I like it.
Okay, the fig
James,
bread.
I miss you. Jimmy Ingram, I miss you.
Fig bread.
Joey Ascione, I miss you. Gary Aravella.
Everyone, Marion, everyone is here. I want to say one more time. Wait Marion? A second. Mark S. says, hi guys, Mark from Hartford. You hooked us up in 2018 to that amazing winery and the Etna tour. Loved it and can't wait to go back. My family is in Acireale and Acireale.
They're another red zone.
Ciao.
Listen,
I want to say
so
again how thankful we are, and really, really, really humbled that you spend this time with us every week. We love coming to you. So let us know what else you want to hear about, because we are getting ready to wrap this up. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Buona Domenica, or have a great day, no matter what day you're watching. And watch out for the Siracusa piece coming up midweek, right?
Really, really appreciate your generosity, your continued support. We have a great family here. Please come back next week. If the weather's permitting, we'll be here next Sunday, and we'll have more amazing stories to tell you. That's for sure.
Peace.
Ciao.
Ciao.